I have finally figured it out. I have finally figured out why the woke media in this country loves China so much. It all makes perfect sense now. The media has so much love for China because they both live in a fantasy world while the rest of us are living in reality. The difference is the media here in America, they get slapped in the face with reality because half the country has common sense. While the communist Chinese government, they don't have anybody forcing them to accept reality. If the CCP says something, they expect you to believe it. And if you don't believe it and you live in China, you better keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, the CCP, they will come find you and you will suffer through a mysterious death. Oh, poor Wu. I can't believe he fell off that mountain. That's terrible. If you go to the official website of the Olympics, the United States is listed number one in terms of medal count. Now, this shouldn't be surprising. America typically dominates the Olympics. If you look at the top performing countries in the Olympics, for the most part, they are democratic countries, which should tell you something. People living in communist countries, they don't have the resources to compete with athletes that are living in free societies. You don't see Iran, Saudi Arabia, North Korea. You don't see these countries in the top 10 in the Olympics. The lone communist country that seems to be able to compete is China. The Chinese, they finished the Olympics in second place this year. Chinese athletes, they won 88 medals, 38 gold, 32 silver, 18 bronze. But the CCP, they could not live with the fact that once again, they were beaten by the Americans. So what does a communist do when things don't go their way? They make things up, of course. Fake it till you make it. Images of an altered medal count began to surface on Chinese social media over the weekend. This altered medal count was also distributed through state-run television in China. The Chinese government, they have declared themselves winners of the Olympics. Now you might be wondering, how in the hell did they do this? Well, they added medals won by other countries. The CCP counted medals won by Taiwan, Hong Kong, something called Macau. Hell, while they're at it, might as well add the medals won by Vietnam and Mongolia too. It would be the equivalent of the United States adding medals won by Puerto Rico to their medal count. Since 1984, Taiwan and Hong Kong have been competing in the Olympics under the name Chinese Taipei. They consider themselves to be separate from China, though the CCP does not feel that way. The communist government in China, they want to insert their dominance over Taiwan and Hong Kong. But I thought this story was interesting. It shows how insecure the CCP really is when it comes to America. Think about how petty this is. You want to show your dominance to the world, so you manipulate your medal count and you go around pretending that you won the Olympics. You know what this proves to me? This proves to me that the Chinese government, they have been lying about their COVID numbers all along. If you can't trust the Chinese government to get their Olympic medal count right, how in the hell are we supposed to trust them when it comes to the COVID? There has been all sorts of controversy with the communist Chinese government with the Olympics. I've told you guys before how the government in China censors television. You can be watching a news broadcast, your TV screen suddenly fades to black, the audio is muted, a few seconds later, everything comes back to normal. During the opening ceremony of the Olympics, which were broadcast by Tencent in China, they didn't want their citizens to see the athletes from Chinese Taipei participating. So what does Tencent do? They kill the live feed, replace it with stand-up comedy. I'm serious. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, but it gets better. I don't understand why the mainstream media here in America loves China so much. I understand their fascination with China because the CCP gets to live in the fantasy world that the media wishes they could live in. But I don't understand their undying love of China because the Chinese government has a lot of disdain for the American media. After the opening ceremonies, The Chinese consulate issued a statement going after NBC. What did NBC do? They didn't include the South China Sea on a map that was displayed during the parade of athletes. According to the Chinese consulate, this hurt the dignity and emotions of the Chinese people. What does that sound like? Who does that sound like? That sounds just like the wokers here in America. Weird. Just goes to show where the far left get their political strategies from. China. The consulate went on to accuse NBC of using the Olympics to play political tricks. The CCP also criticized Reuters. They claimed Reuters used an ugly picture of Chinese gold medal winner Hu Zihui, and that Reuters did this on purpose because of their politics and ideologies. Reuters is one of the few media outlets left that pretty much neutral. I Googled Hu Zihui. Trust me, there was nothing Reuters could do. No amount of filtering or photoshopping was going to make Hu Zihui attractive. That's one ugly broad. Now, the Chinese manipulating their medal count, this is embarrassing on a global scale. This story's been picked up all over the world. Australian media outlets called the CCP insecure. Media outlets in Europe have covered the story. However, very few media outlets here in America are covering what the Chinese did. Why? Google China medal count 2021. See what you come back with. Fox News covered the story. Outkick covered the story. The Daily Mail over the UK covered the story. That's it. Nothing from CNN. Nothing from ESPN, MSNBC, the New York Times. Why? Because most of the woke media in America are being paid by the Chinese government to promote propaganda and to cover for the CCP. A couple of weeks ago, Tucker Carlson over at Fox News exposed the mainstream media. Hundreds of articles suddenly vanished from the New York Times overnight. Most of these articles were about China, who pays the New York Times over $100,000 per month. I don't think they're paying for subscriptions. They are paying the New York Times, one of the oldest and used to be one of the most respected media outlets in America. The Chinese government is paying them to propagandize. It wasn't just the New York Times either who accepted Chinese money. Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, the Washington Post. I don't know why the Washington Post needs the money, needs the Chinese money. They're owned by the richest man on the planet. It goes to show you that this is not about money. This is about an agenda. The woke media wants America to be more like China. They call it Chinese capitalism, which is just another woke term. They always come up with these creative terms to hide what they really want, hide what they're really talking about, which is total control, communism. That's what they want. So, of course, the media is ignoring the fact that China manipulated their medal count. They're being paid. The CCP is their master. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. All right, time to let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on the Chinese government manipulating their medal count to beat America, and the media here in America ignoring the story altogether. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.